for I didn't just say that because I just want to say it. I say because I have plan for myself as well. At exactly 1 year, I was out of that place. Exactly 1 year, I took my ID card and I went to the man and said, "Thank you. Just like I've said today, my 1 year in this company, this is my resignation." They were looking at me, and I was making good money from there because then I have planned myself. I was planning so that I was in 3 or 4 areas. I was doing consultant somewhere else. I was doing myself. I was doing my accounting job somewhere else. I was also lecturing in some other places as well. I built career in such a way that all those things. You know, our university, our qualification in Nigeria is very good. Let me tell you the truth. We learn under a hard condition. So if you manage to come from that country and you have a good grade there, you are an excellent. If you have the same similar here in this country, so
Hello, sir. Hello, sir.
Yeah.
My name is Pastor BC. I have a question for you, if you don't mind, please, before you continue in your lectures and your empowerment. My question is that a lot of people miss the introduction of yourself, because when you are introducing yourself, you are just 7 in number. So, and you say something very touchy, that your certificate in degree in master does not matter, but what matters is the experience. But when you are teaching, when you are introducing yourself, I discovered that after your master's in FUTA, Federal University of Technology, Akure, and after your degree again, you came, after your degree in Ogun State, again, you came to this country, you did some diploma, certificate. So can you please empower us and enlighten us and give us a sort of more light so that people can draw the line between degree certificate and the little bit of certification, so that people can understand what you mean, that your degree certificate does not really matter, so people can understand. Thank you, sir. And then introduce yourself again, please. Sorry about that.
Like I said, my name is Damilola Raymond Adeniji. I hold my first degree in accounting from Ogun State University, second class upper, and I hold masters in business administration and finance from Federal University of Technology. I'm also a chartered accountant by profession, in Nigeria before I even came to UK. So when I came to UK in 2005 as a highly skilled, in 2005. And the first job I got was not relating to my profession, so just a job of survival. And I realized that in this country, what people need in experience is not just the qualification we hold. And I said the interview I attended that nobody checked my qualifications, and I thought it was my qualification that got me the job. I realized that it wasn't my qualification; it was my experience and performance during the interview. Now, when I come to the system, I studied the system, I realized that you need an experience. So focusing the first thing I did, I started thinking I've lectured also in Nigeria before I came. I said, how do I lecture here? You only need what we call a teaching qualification here, which we call some of them we call DETOs, some of them we call PETOs. That can be done within 6 months without going to university on part-time basis. Assessment. So that was exactly what I did. When I did that also, I said, I need to do this. Okay. I do another one, internal verifier qualification, or part level 3, level 4, level 5, and all those things. You don't need to go to university. These are courses that can be done actually. And most of these things are government funded. Free of charge, This can be done, or just pay a little something. So these are the things I gathered together and put them together. That enabled me to be able to deliver lecture here as if I was graduate or got something to university here. That's also enabled me to be able to assess here. Because most of those things are assessed, they are what called portfolio assessment. And like I said, you can have up to level 7, what we call it, level 7 qualifications, which is equivalent to masters without going to universities. You can have level 2 diploma, you can have level 3 diploma, you can have level 4, level 5 diploma, which is equivalent to HND, you can have level 7, which is equivalent to masters. All this, you don't need to see university. All this, you don't need to leave your job. And you are still working on part-time basis. They are portfolio-based. They are evidence-based. They will come to assess you on what you are doing. If you're security, they come to assess you on your security. How do you do this? Observation, all those things. That's what I'm going to be doing. So this is what I put together in addition to my, qualification and all those things to put together and then, to build your career. Like I said, it is now when you now started building your career, there's so many areas you can build your career. If you want to go for accounting, you can build your career in accounting without going to university. You can build your career in any area. You can build your health and social care. If you are health and social care today, maybe you try to have a level 2, then later level 3. By the time you have a level 3, you're almost preparing yourself to be a manager. So you don't need to have level 5 before you be a manager. With level 3, level 5 in progress, you can aspire to be a registered manager. Do not register manager earn as much as 40 to 80,000 pounds a year for this care company we're looking at. And some people have been in the healthcare industry for over 10 years. They are still a healthcare. That's why I said there's nothing wrong if you start from a lower beginning, but something is wrong if you remain at that bottom without improving yourself, because you don't need to spend much to improve yourself. You just need to acquire this skill and have the ambition of what? Moving forward. If you're a carer, aspire to be senior health carer. If you're a senior health carer, aspire to be field care supervisor or care coordinator. If you're a care coordinator, aspire to be a manager. If you're a manager, aspire to become regional manager. These are skills you can build over, over 2-3 years, without costing you much. Then that's how you can build your career. I work in a place before. I've had people make a conversation. Oh, there's a job somewhere. Do you like to come and work in that job? Oh, that one say yes. You see, they give a lot of hours. So they give a lot of hours in that job. They say, how much do they pay? And say the pay is small, but they have a lot of hours. So it was consistent on a number of hours is going to work, not number of the rate per hour. That is wrong. You understand? If you build your career,
that's very serious.
If you build your career up, you'll be concerned about how much is the rate, not how much hours. If they are paying me 30 pounds an hour, I can work 15 hours and be satisfied. If you are getting 10 pounds an hour, then you need to work about 45 to 50 to 60 hours to be satisfied. You see how people are thinking. People are thinking about how many hours do I want to work. No, I'm thinking of how much rate. What can I do to improve my rate? How can I do? You understand? To know how many I want to work less hours and more money. That's what's called working smart.
Come on, tell them.
Not just working many hours and little. No. People in this country, let me tell you, people in this country will tell you, I've been in this country for over 30 years. They are not aspiring. They don't think they want to move up. They are happy. People can be working in a place, they say, okay, they are happy because their co-employees are happy with them. They like the way they are working. They don't care. They are happy with PPE equipment every year. They're happy. But you and I, where we came from, we move from one job. It's mobility. You create a mobility. When I was working in a bank, when I get done back in this bank in the next 3 months, I moved to another bank because there's no way they can promote over my boss here. And I want to rise. You understand? I want to rise. So if you're working in a company that paying you 12 pounds an hour, don't sleep. The other company that are paying 20 pounds an hour. Don't sleep. Check again. You have to move again. It is not your father's business. Even though it's your father's business, you can tell your dad, Daddy, I know this is your business, but I want to work here because I think I'm better off here. You understand? You must aspire to move forward. Because there's no way they can promote you. Promotion does not come where they're not going to promote over your boss. First of all, know that. No matter what happens, they won't promote over your boss. But you can move from where he is as an assistant manager here and become a manager in another company, which is a promotion to you. They don't know where you're coming from. They don't know the level you're coming from. You're just coming to a new place. You understand? You are going to be honored that way. So you must plan yourself to grow. This country is hard. This country is how it is. Everybody comparative is hard. You don't expect to come to this country today and make sure that everything is going to be just smooth that way. If someone has promised you that, it's not right. It's not true. You are coming to United Kingdom to start afresh. How many of us come with our car? No. How many of us came with our cooking pot? No. How many of us come with our sponge? No. We started afresh here. So you must prepare yourself for this. The weather is not friendly. You go to work against us. The color is not, our color also work against us. Our accent also work against us. What do you think they can work to your favor is your skill and your knowledge. which nobody can take that from you. If your skill is sound, if your knowledge is sound, no matter what your color say, no matter what your accent say, they will listen to you. But if your skill is not there, the color is not there, the accent is not there, man, forget about it. So build your skills. Know what your stuff. I came and I was lecturing in so many colleges here because I was confident of myself. I was confident that the education I received in Nigeria is not an inferior education. I know the skill is there. I know the knowledge is there. It's just to blend with the culture and the background. And I lecture in over 15 colleges here in this country. So what I want to say is you prepare yourself, you plan yourself, and you have a vision. Let your vision be very sharp. Plan yourself. Write your vision down. The Bible says even though as it said, even though it may tarry, but you may definitely accomplish it. But if it's not written, you're not going to be able to accomplish it. The shortest pencil is better than the sharpest memory. I repeat again, the shortest pencil is better than the sharpest memory. When you write something down, you will never forget. But if you don't put anything down, believe me, what we're saying today, give you 3-4 days, we've forgotten. If you didn't put anything down, whatever we discuss today, give it 1 week, it's all forgotten. But when you have a paper, you write something down, you make reference to it. It may be 2 years later, you come across it. Oh, this is what I learned something. You'll be able to accomplish and do it. So plan yourself. Don't be among the people that says this country is hard. Don't look at the negative aspect. Look at the positive aspects of this country. This country build on your credit history. Don't say, I bought a phone, nobody is chasing me, you refuse to pay. Nobody is going to take you to prison for not paying. But you destroy your career, you won't be able to build yourself in this country. Please, it's very important we that are here. When you make a commitment, try to pay on time. If you cannot pay, call them. I won't be able to pay, so let them extend it. It's very important. Why most of our people, they destroy us and themselves is they will buy something they will not pay. The implication is enormous. I am what I am by the grace of God and also by my credit. Today now I can approach any bank in this country for up to 1.5 million, 2 million pounds credit. Do you know what I'm saying? I can approach any bank here in this country for up to 1 million, 1.5 million, or even 2 million pounds credit because I have built my credit history. They have seen that it's been tested and proved that this guy will not default. Some people, it's because of only £10 mobile phone, they destroy their credit. And that means they can never do business in this country. You need a good credit. You need a good credit history to be able to function very well in this country, no matter how rich you are, no matter how much you are. It's not how much money you earn that give you good credit. It's how you are able to honor your obligations at when due and how much money you keep. If there are two candidates, one earn £1 million a month, the other earn £100,000 a month. If the one that earn £1 million a month, if his expenditure is £1,001 a month, and the other one that earn £100,000 a month, his expenditure is £95,000 a month. The one that earn £95,100 a month will get credit more and faster than the one that earn £1 million a month. Because by the time you earn £1 million a month and your expenditure is £1 million and £1 a month, they can see that your expenditure is greater than your income. The bank will not honor you. It will say you won't be able to manage your resources. But the one that earn even £1 and spend 95p and live with 5p, the bank will honor them more because they feel that they are more disciplined in their approach. Please take that also as very important. Don't eat everything you have. Lead a little in the bank. You build your credit history.
Thank you. I really appreciate your comment. I still want to ask another question again. Okay. Now, how can we have business and sustain the business? And what are the businesses that we can have and then sustain that business? Number 3 question is that what are the certification that we can do in each of this career? And then can you give us some career jobs that we can do, and what are the certification that is relevant in each of these careers? Not one, not two, like being a doctor, like we want to, being a construction worker, like you want to be a, bread and breakfast, you want to do you want to, like you said, you want to be a director regional in a care setup or whatever. Then you will probably want to do, what are the careers that we have, and then how can we build our certification and profile in each of these careers? So it's about 4 questions, sir. I hope you can help us with that 4 questions.
Thank you for your question. Like I said, when we're talking about your career, first of all, identify your skill, the area you want to focus on. Unlike where we're coming from, when we say you are an accountant and you cover everything, jack of all trades, master of none. No, even in this country, if you're an accountant, you must specialize either retail or you must specialize, or in charity or this or that. So identify your skills. That's the most important thing. Identify the skill you have or the area you want to follow. For example, if you want to be a security a consultant or security something, you first of all do security training. You have that badge. Then if you want to be lecturing in security training, then there are some teaching qualifications you can do to qualify you to be lecturing as a trainer here in this country. So the skill you have and you build on some little NVQ qualification that qualify you to train along that field. That's one. If you want to health and social care, you have level 2 diploma in health and social care. Good ahead. Try to have level 3. By the time you have a level 3, that's a senior staff level. Then by the time you started approaching your level 5, then you are qualified to be a manager. You understand? Like I said, work as a part-time, work as a volunteer to be able to learn those managers. Because by the time CQC is going to be interviewing you, they're going to interview on what you know. You understand? Not on your qualification, it's on what you know. So first of all, identify the skill you have or the skill you want to acquire. You can be anything. There's no limiting factor, but you can't be everything. You understand? So you first identify the area you want to focus. If it is in the healthcare, if it is in a medical line, if it is in social worker, you identify all those things. They are the qualification you can acquire through NVQ, plus experience. You can become anything. When I lecture at London Minon College, I have hundreds of my students. Some of them are social workers, some of them are nurses now, some of them are doctors now, some of them are accountants, some of them are engineers. We still maintain contact relationship. So, like I said, identify those areas of your skill that you want to be. You can become director, because in this country, the sky is your limit. Honestly speaking, make sure you don't mess up with your credit and all those things. Your DBS is not in jeopardy. Please abstain from crime. All those things that can affect you. That limiting what you can do in this. To work in a company that have an experience and you learn how to do this thing, you can apply to HMRC. I want to be a bookkeeper for my client. And you apply all those things to the HMRC and everything. They do the check and everything. You're okay. They approve you. They begin to get a client. You don't need to become a chartered accountant before you do it. You don't need to have a degree before you do it. Your experience gathered together will make you to do it. That's one. As a bookkeeper, you can have a lot of people who are preparing the account and all those things. You can begin to build on it. The same thing health and social care. You have your experience, then you can have some NVQ added to it. You can become anything. Even in the construction site as well. You have your construction certificate and all those things. You can begin to do it. Traffic marshal, all those things. These are courses you can learn. You can learn on part-time basis. You can go to any level. Identify the skill, the area you want. What you need to know is you can't be everything. Okay? You can't be everything. So you can decide which career path you want to focus on. Okay. For example, I'm a chartered accountant. I'm still practicing accounting, but my major area is the area of health and social care. I was practicing accounting until 2018 or 17, when it occurred to me that let me digress a bit into health and social care. And I've done health and social care, and today I have a care company. I have a presence in about 30 local authority in UK, you know, and the turnover is in excess of £7 million and all those things. This I am doing, you can even do it better. You can do it better. Don't limit yourself. You understand? I haven't got too head. I haven't done, even as I'm looking at, I haven't done care in my life, but I'm managing one of the biggest care company. You understand? So if I can do it, you can do it.
Thank you very much. And then I want to throw something back to the coordinator, if he has anything and how he wants to coordinate your section. Yes, over to you, Brashion. The Brashion is not on the platform, and I want to ask this question, please. If anybody on the floor, do you have any question before I ask my own question? Because I have a lot of questions to ask. Do you have any question now to ask Accountant Dami? Any question, anybody, unmute yourself and introduce yourself so that we can know you. You have any question in terms of business, in terms of career, business and career? Please, very, very important. Do you have any question now? Please. Mention your name, introduce yourself, let us know you. Yes, continue.
My name is Jimmy Ojo. I want to ask a question.
Where are you calling from? Where? UK, Nigeria?
Yeah, from UK, United Kingdom.
Okay, continue.
Yeah, my name is Jimmy Ojo. Yes, sir. I want to ask a question from the facilitator. Thanks so much, sir, for the way you have expressed yourself and spoken to us. We appreciate. You mentioned MBQ. I know I've heard that name before, and I used to hear it accordingly to as regards healthcare. Is it that it's something that is associated with every profession, MBQ? That's one. Then number two, you talked about these diploma courses that we could do, 1, 2, 3. You talked even up to 7. Where can we get those courses on? Are they online? And that's one. That's another one. Then the third one is just more or less like about the accounting thing you talked about. Because I'm an accountant, and I was just looking at it that you talked about HMRC. Is it it has to be that if you want to manage anybody's and you first of all talked about experience. Is it the experience? If you have an experience, like I worked in the judiciary in Nigeria as an accountant, and does that experience count here? Maybe I should just end questions like that. Or is it the experiences that you have here that matters most? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Let me start with the first question. When I say MVQ, is National Vocational Qualification. That's the name, National Vocational Qualification. These are the called MVQ. And you call it, because certificate, you have diploma level 2, diploma level 3, diploma level 4, diploma level 5, diploma level 7. They all related to work you do. They will come and you can, any course you do at all, you can have MVQ qualification on it. And you can range from certificate to diploma. Diploma is just like diploma level 2, diploma level 3, diploma level 5, diploma level 7. That does not take you to university. You can do it outside your normal working hour. What they will come to do is they will just organize how to come and assess you in what you do. You understand? So their portfolio to be built and everything, there are something to be written and all those things on what you do on daily basis. They will put everything together as if you are writing a project. Put everything together, you see the portfolio. Because portfolio building, their portfolio means portfolio of evidences. You know, if they, for example, if you are a carer, you want to do your level 2. Your assessor will come to you at the workplace. Okay, today we are coming to assess your communication, or part of the course is the communication. You want to see how you communicate with your service user. So while you are doing your normal care job, the assessor will be coming there. You will see how you communicate. Good morning, Mr. A. My name is C. I come to look after you today. You're going to look at those communications. You're going to be taking those lines. You are doing very well. Those units are gone. You pass it. They want to observe you. Okay, how do you lift? Manual lifting of your clients from bed to something. That's observation. You go to see how you lift it, all those things. You take all those things. You are passing those. They are models. You are passing them. So you come to observe them. There are some other area will ask you, tell me how you do this, tell me how to do that. That's how they put everything together. That's what they call MVQ, National Vocational Qualification. Level 2, level 3, level 5, level 7, which is up to master level. That's how it's been done without going to university. You understand? So that's the same thing. The MVQ is what we call diploma. You have certificate, you have diploma. You understand? Then accounting things. Yeah, the experience you have in Nigeria is not enough. You understand? Because the law in Nigeria is different from the law in UK. How you handle people GDPR here, how you people handle people's money here is very important. So it is very important you have a little experience here in UK, if not more than 6 months. You understand? To see how things are done, the software we use and all those things. So by the time you apply to, so that in Nigeria, if you make some mistake, they could overlook it. Oh, don't worry, we don't do it again. But in this country, they expect your insurance to cough it out to pay your. Nobody's going to take that lightly with you. So that's why it's good to have that experience. You have confidence in what you are doing, and by having an experience, you have a mentor. So when you are doing your normal thing, you have an issue, you'll be able to run to that person. Oh, sir, I got this client. He's doing this. Can you just help me? Because you have come for experience through him, he will be able to guide you. Unlike when you just jump here and you are struggling to do it. You understand? So you don't have that kind of mentor. You don't have you have an issue. You don't know who to contact. So it's good. Your experience in Nigeria is not enough. Come and have a UK experience. Come and have, when they say UK experience, part of this is communication in UK. How do you handle it? Is data protection. There are certain things that you need to do that you take it for granted that is not allowed in this country. How do you handle people's money? How do you do anti-money laundering check? How do you make sure that people's money in your custody, are protected and all those things? People coming to you, how do you make sure that you do the anti-money laundering? How do you know that you do what KYC, know your client? You have their detailed store and record. You understand? So that's why you say Nigerian experience is not enough. Come and have UK experience. It's very important. So part of accounting, I've told you, you have accounting in Nigeria is fine. Come and have a little experience on those areas you want to focus in, and that person could be your mentor as well. You can call him at any time because he has been your mentor. That will help. I hope that's answered your question.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Does anybody have any other question? I know you are our guest speaker for time, but does anybody have any question? Introduce yourself and go straight to the point, please.
Yeah, good afternoon. My name is Adedapo Adiola. So I'm talking from Nigeria, sir.
Okay. Go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me? Are you?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So my add-up is, you said anybody that's coming to you said anybody that's coming to UK is starting afresh. Then let's take it for in Nigeria now. Then I'm planning to migrate to UK, sir. So I just want to do ask, like, all those diploma programs you said we can do. Can we do it online? Where can we hear about the programs? How can we register for the program? So that's my question, sir.
I would advise to get to UK to do it, honestly speaking. By the time you come to UK, you could see different line at all. It could be different from the one you were thinking you want to do here. But when you were here, you'll be more enlightened to see quite a number of things you're doing. Whatever skill you have in a year, hold on to that skill. It's still going to help you. You understand? When you get to UK, you'll be able to determine what you want to do. You can be even in cleaning. There are categories you can study cleaning. You can study a lot of things. You understand? But if you're paying in Nigeria, studying this in Nigeria, by the time you come here, things may change. Your line may change entirely. You might see another opportunity which is different from the one you have spent so much money to study. And moreover, the one you're going to be studying in Nigeria is going to be on online and all those things. We're talking of the one you go to also learn in the office with people that are here. Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Can we take the last question because of time? Is there any other question? This will be the last one. I'm sure if you have any concerns, we can address it after our guest leaves, because I know he's very, very pressed for time. So any other question, please? Okay, so in the absence of many other questions, first of all, I would like to say a very big thank you to you, sir, for honoring our invitation. It's a privilege we don't want to take for granted. We appreciate you for enlightening us, for shedding more light on things, for the refresher for some of us that have some knowledge of it. And one thing that I want to say we have taken, or I as a person has taken here, is that we need to understand the fact that coming into the UK, there are so many things mitigating against us. You are talking about our color, our accents, the weather, the economy, and things like that. But one thing that nobody can take away from us is our skill. Whatever skill we have is our selling point. And secondly, we should develop ourselves. We should develop ourselves in wherever sector we have found ourselves. And also, we should also understand the fact that as immigrants, there is time for everything. Developing ourselves, adding value, and creating time. In that time for everything is like creating time to grow. Then when we grow and have value, then we can make the money and be in the same shoes like those we also look up to and envy, which I really, really appreciate, sir. So we will we will let you go now, sir. And I will also come back. I will chat you up later on, sir, just to stay in touch with you and maybe take it to the next phase. Really appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you. Let me appreciate our accountant also, Accountant Dami. I want to use this privilege to thank you too, for honoring an invitation. Me and accountant, we've been coming for since 2013 from Penat Center. So it's very, very helpful, very, very encouraging. That's what I see in him. Very, very encouraging and very, very supportive. And he likes to build, potential in people. Like he said, he's a good teacher. You can see from the weight of experience. And by the grace of God, we will still invite him again, another day, another time, by the grace of God. Like I said, he never charge us that before I give my talk, before I give my skills, and you need to pay so amount. But by the grace of God, God Almighty will reward you, and they will uplift your business and your companies and all the areas that you have invested in this, United Kingdom and far back in Nigeria. Please, people of God, let us learn from him. Let's learn from him. He has failed many times, and now, he can tell you what failure is, what success is. When he first came to this country, you heard him. What he did before, journey, and he's a very determined person. I really appreciate you. I just need to talk and say a big thank you and a big thank you for standing on this stage and on this platform to enlighten us and to empower us with those words. And this is what we've been saying. This is not a matter of further and die. Everything is not further and die prayer. Everything is all about what you have to really see the other side of this game and of this life, and which is where we use most of our time, in the circular, in the career, in the community, not church now this time around, not even inside our family, but outside. And that is what it's talking about. Thank you, and thank you, and thank you. It is well with you, sir. Bye, sir. Over to you, Mr. Sean.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. So the next will be taken by our mother in the Lord, Mrs. Abiola Adilowo, Pastor Mrs. Abiola Adilowo. She will be teaching us on workplace integration. So the vision was born out of the fact that a lot of us are working. We are working one way or the other. We have found ourselves, we've gotten a job here, and then we are struggling to understand and integrate into the system. So she's going to enlighten us on how we can settle in, integrate, understand their culture, understand the people, understand their values, things that we should do, things that we should not do. And also, in the process of trying to integrate, we shouldn't compromise. How to do it and not compromising. So over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. God bless you, sir. I want to thank our Father in the Lord for the opportunity to give this talk on this platform. I also want to thank the team and the organizers of the Career and Learning Development, led by Minister Shinwaino. God bless you, sir. I'm not taking this opportunity for granted. God bless us in Jesus' name. So I'm just going to share my slide. Hopefully it all works well. Just bear with me. Can we all see the slide?
Yes, we can.
Okay. All right. So the topic before me is about workplace integration. I also want to thank Accountant Adeniyi Damilola Adeniyi for that powerful session. So my talk, I'll be here for just about 20-30 minutes, is talking about workplace integration. The point, apart from following on from what Aknatadami has said, we've come into the country, we've gone through the hierarchy of need, we've got into that job, that initial job, where we wanted to survive, and then we have survived, or we are still surviving. The surviving is ongoing, and then we found ourselves in a job, in a job role, or we are being employed in a particular position. So the question, which is what I'll be addressing, is how do we integrate into the workplace? How do we settle into that workplace, where we can maximize the opportunity of networking within the workplace? And that's what I'll be talking about today. So I put in here, I said workplace integration talks about the process of incorporating individuals and from diverse background, experiences, and abilities into an inclusive work environment. And one thing that is key is, when we come to this country and we start to work, that was how I felt in the beginning. The motive is, I just here to make my money, just pay me per hour, I want to be paid, and off I go. But the point is, we need, as the accountant said, is that we need to get to a point in our career, in our profession, where we then switch from that transactional mode, the mode of my hour, I'm signing my timesheet, I'm walking away, to a state where we are integrating into that workplace and taking advantage of the networking and opportunities within that job role we have. Because no matter the profession we have, even if we're in the care sector, the cleaning sector, you're in the NHS, you are into a business, there's a language that the business speaks. There's a language that within your workplace, that if we don't integrate and get into the understanding of the language or the norms and the values of that workplace, we can remain in that transactional mode of working for years. And what I mean by transactional mode of working is you come, you clock in, you sign your timesheet, you walk away. We need to integrate to maximize the networking within the workplace. I've seen, lots of people that work in the workplace where there's an opportunity for a promotion. There's an opportunity for an internal job has been opened up. And, within that part, you just hear that, she's no longer in that role. That person has been promoted, or that person has moved to another role, because that person has integrated into the workplace, social integration into the workplace, and he's seen as somebody that is suitable to be put forward for another role. The Lord will help us in Jesus' name. So what I'm saying here is, when we get into a workplace and we have made up our mind that, I want to move forward, I'm not just going to be transactional to sign my timesheet and walk away. The question is, we need to understand this. In the workplace, we've got the employer and employee relationship. And why I put it here is, our employers that employ, for those that are not in businesses, I'm talking mainly to those that are employed now, is, we're talking is about what our employer has promised. And our employee is, what can I offer? So the point is, we need to switch ourselves away from the mode of, I'm here to offer the service I've been employed for, I'm going to get paid, and off I go. The moment we don't get out of that mindset of, I'm just here to do my job and walk away, we cannot integrate into that workplace. The very, very important thing we need to hold on to is, how can I be the best I can in this job I have been offered? What can I do to contribute to this larger team? What can I do? I'm here to do my job. How excellent am I in my job? And one common example of excellence I always use, the Christian platform, is about Joseph. Joseph in the book of Genesis was the least person. He was the least person in that whole Potiphar's house. but in the midst of being the least person in that job line, you know, there was excellence in what he did. He had the skill set, he had the experience, and he put in diligence and excellence. You know, when integrating into the workplaces, not just seeing yourself as an employee, I'm here to just do my job. I don't want trouble. I don't want any akoba. I don't want anybody to spoil my DBS. I'm here to go. It means taking it to the next level of saying, what can I offer this company? You know, how can I apply myself in such a way that I am diligent and I excel in what I'm doing? You know, it comes to, you know, what's your documentation like? You know, how diligent are you at work? What time do you turn up to work? You know, these are things, they look very subtle. You know, they look very, very subtle, but these are things that play a part in workplace integration. You know, are you one that you are very used to, you know, I know things happen, we call off sick, which is fine, but are you one that, you know, you have a particular track record or pattern of, you would call off sick at last minute when when it's really not necessary? Are you one that, you know, you want to integrate into a work, even as an agency worker, the agency calls you to give you that job role, and you are the one that will say, you know, sorry, I've got a better offer. I got a shift of £10 per hour, and that person wants to pay me £11. You've booked the £10 per hour shift for over 1 week, and then you call off because you've got a better offer. So workplace integration talks about loyalty. It talks about putting being a part of a team, not seeing yourself just, I'm here as a transaction to get to pay to do the job and walk away. And when you see yourself as a team and we put diligence and excellence, you know, Pastor, our father-in-law will always say something. Your excess is your success. You know, how diligent are you at that work? You know, are you putting excellence? You know, so another dimension we'll be looking at about workplace integration is also about the social networking. You know, because of how we have been trained and our culture back home, you know, in Africa and Asia, we are used to being, you know, very reserved. You know, we don't intrude into people's matter. We keep to ourselves, we don't talk, and all of these things, some of these things we need to unlearn, you know, because it does come across as if we are not blending with the team. And that's what I'm saying, you know, what do we have to offer? And the question is, how are you offering that your service within that job place? You know, if you are working in a cleaning company, how diligent are you within the job role you are doing? Because without the diligence, you know, without the diligence and putting that effort and seeing yourself as part of the big wide team, you know, it is impossible to integrate into the workplace. And when there are opportunities for advancement, you know, it will not be offered because all the people you work with do not see yourself as a team. I remember there was a time I've got an agency I work with, and I can tell you within the last 3-4 years, when there is no job offer from a particular place where I work, that particular agency, the agency lady has actually pushed my name out for interviews. I would say about 6 different other places to work. It's because, you know, even though I don't know what she looks like, she's an agency worker, I have integrated myself so much that there is loyalty, there's relationship. You know, one thing that we fall back on within our community is that we lack loyalty. You know, we want to work, we walk away. You have put in, you know, look at what Akantadami said. You know, there was clarity about him walking away from an employment. He will not call off and say, you know, he was clear about, you know, resigning from a position properly. You know, but the point is, integrating into a workplace means you get there, you want to resign, you think about the future, you are loyal about how you are resigning, you know, you are loyal about saying, you know, I'm done with this job, I'm going to a next level, because you do not realize that when you are walking away from an establishment, you know, the cords, there are links from the previous establishment, apart from just referencing, there are links from the previous establishment that can help you to get to the next level. You know, I remember one of the courses, one of the funded courses I went for. You know, I was working in where I work without understanding that there were funded courses that they will pay you for the day to be there. They will even pay you for coming there, and then they pay you extra money for actually attending the course. I never knew something like that existed. But I've got a good relationship with my boss, integrated so well into the workplace. And she was the one that said an email, Abby, you know, I think you can do this. And from the email, I got a whole year of going to a place once a week and being paid for going there, my transport being paid for going there. So it's very important for us to, you know, as we are thinking about moving to the next level, of job, what is my concept about integrating? I'm going to, you know, about thinking of intentionally about, I'm moving away from this transactional level of job. I'm going to do my barest minimum to get out of this place. God will help us in Jesus' name. So I put in this cycle just a bit of analogy to say that there's so many aspects of us when we engage in our workplace. The most important thing we're going to talk about is not the organization itself or the work experience. It's about people, relationship, teamwork, and climate. What relationships do we have at work? In as much as we go to workplaces, we want to do our work. We don't want to form unnecessary friendship, but we could be very professional and have good relationship with people at our workplace. What relationship do we have? Would your colleague at work, I had to learn this, in work. I remember when I was pregnant with one of my children. For me, when, in Nigeria as a young man, when you are pregnant or you're carrying a baby, nobody would ask you what your due date is. It is unheard of that a person would ask you, when are you due? You don't tell people when your baby is due. You don't even tell people what gender you are having. But the social climate within the environment in the UK would be someone would ask you, when is your baby due? Or when are you having a boy or a girl? It doesn't mean that they are trying to patronize you or they are trying to patronize. That's just the way the culture of the environment is. I did not realize that, when you go to a workplace and you're at work, when you are making a cup of tea, you should ask them, Janet, do you care for a cup of tea? Why will you be going around workplace and say, I'm going for lunch, should I make a cup of tea? Just do your own and go. That's what we have learned. But workplace integration means that, you are going out for lunch and you're going to buy something, Christy, do you want me to get something for you? Are you okay? Have you got lunch? All of those little colloquials, all of those little questions and showing of care fosters relationship. It does foster relationship. And one thing we hold back on, within our community is integrating into the workplace. We are hardworking, we do the best, we don't get into trouble, we are very careful, we put in our best, we are excellent, but how much of integration, we don't do lots of integration. And sometimes that's one thing that holds us back from and prevents us from taking us to the next level within our workplace. So one thing I've put here is tips to facilitate workplace integration. I said optimize the onboarding process and training. When we get a job and we are in the workplace, what is, have I been trained? Most of this training we do it online quickly without even applying ourselves to the training that we have been asked to do before starting the job. How do you, did you go through the training? Apart from the tick box mandatory training that we all tick the boxes and do, when you get into the workplace, what are the systems that work in that place? What's the hierarchy? What's the observation? What's the language? What's the atmosphere of this workplace and I am? What's the history? Who was in this role before I came in there? There's lots of workplace gossips and news. You're on a WhatsApp. I remember I was in a WhatsApp, WhatsApp group in my workplace, and people were talking about the bosses, talking and gossiping. And because I've learned about workplace integration, you can't realize that one of the people on that WhatsApp group took a screenshot of the conversation and then took it and sent it to the boss's WhatsApp group. And you can imagine what happened. So workplace integration means working smart, working smartly with the relationship we are building at work, not crossing the professional line, but also being friendly enough that, you maintain that relationship within work. The Lord will help us in Jesus' name. Another thing about this workplace integration is about understanding our workplace environment. Where do what's your environment like? For me, that I work in the health sector, for pastor that works in construction, pastor will always talk about sometimes he's at work and he says, he can preach at work to his colleague. For those that work in the health sector or in the care sector, we've had cases of nurses that would talk to a client that is unwell on the bed and say, okay, let me pray for you. You are sick, God will heal you. I'm not, workplace integration means understanding the culture of the workplace you are. A patient cannot come to see me and I'm looking at her and she has diagnosis of cancer and I'm saying, okay, let us pray. It's not because I do not believe in the power of prayer, but I need to work in a professional way, etiquettely and understand what the regulations are, and what I'm saying about workplace integration that I want us to get it wrong is that, it doesn't mean that you are compromising. No, that's not what we are saying. You can deliver your job with so much excellence, understanding that you're a spiritual person, you believe in God, so much in such a professional way that without even you opening your mouth and saying you're a Christian, there's so much grace that your life emanates. Understand the area you work. What applies to where I work, within the health sector might not apply to where you work, but what is the climate of where you work? I was speaking to someone, and I remember, when I was working in psychiatry, there was a healthcare assistant. All the healthcare assistant did was the tea and coffee that they give the young the children's psychiatry ward. This Nigerian healthcare assistant man. They brought this new patient to this new child, the teenager, to the hospital, to the psychiatric hospital, and this brother. He went to take biscuits, the biscuit that was on the table of the client. He took one from the room, from the kitchen, and then took another biscuit on the table of the girl, because the girl said she wasn't eating. I said, okay, you don't want it, can I eat it? And the girl now reported that he ate his biscuits. So I was like, what? Why would you do this? Some people's workplace, you can, when there's leftover, there's food, you can actually eat from the kitchen. But in some workplaces, it doesn't work. You are not even allowed to use the microwave. Understand what works in your workplace. And that's workplace integration. What works for my workplace might not work for yours. Some workplace, you are not even allowed to even use the microwave. Maybe the basic is to have a cup of tea and drink water. Some you can use, some you can eat from the kitchen, some you can't eat from the kitchen. What works in your workplace? And that that person was suspended following an investigation because the client made an allegation that that's what he's been doing. He's been eating in the workplace. Another example that happened in the hospital, is about integration. In as much as we are hardworking, what's the workplace environment like? What are the policies? I remember working in Queen Elizabeth Hospital. One of the carers was going to change a woman, a 65-year-old woman that was, in the hospital was bedbound. She had a pad on and she had an inco sheet on the bed. And this brother, same, Nigerian brother, out of the woman had stained herself, wanted to change him, pulled the curtains round, turned him. You need two people. It was a double care work. Instead of him to say, there's the other staff is busy, wait for the other staff. Understand this job role and what applies. Instead of him to wait for the other staff, out of the zeal of I want to finish, I can do it, which is what we are, because we've been trained to be hardworking, we've been trained to be very diligent, we are tough, we've gone through difficult situations to get to where we are. He pulled the curtains in the hospital, round the client, 65-old woman, and then he was a male healthcare assistant, and then told her to roll over to the edge and hold the rail of the bed. The woman rolled, which you can do it. These things we know. We are hardworking. You can change it by yourself. He changed it by himself. Do you know what this woman said at the end of the day? When he finished and pulled out the curtain, the woman called the ward manager. And what did she say? She said when he was changing her, he touched her inappropriately. Do you know, by the time they looked at it and looked at the care plan was that he needed two people to do it. This person was suspended and there was a massive investigation because what he did was wrong. He did not follow the care plan. So what we are saying is, we've got the zeal, we've got the energy, but what is the rule in your workplace? What is the care plan regarding that client? What is the atmosphere of your workplace? You want to send an email. For those that are working, that are sending email. What is when you send email and you're sending, I had to learn that when I'm sending email to one person, that email, by the time the next person is copying, it will just say, find below, see as attached. So when you are sending an email, you are thinking you're sending it to one person, but that email can be copied to the whole team. So we need to understand what works in our work. What is the process that works within where you work? Because I would say 99.9, they say 80% of some troubles, workplace troubles we have, within our community is because we have not integrated properly. And what I've put here again, number 3, is understanding the expectation. We are in a work. What are the expectations of your employer? What am I meant to do? What are the expectations? Let it be spelled out. Some work, I remember when I got a particular day, I tried to tell them, can you send an email to me? Can you tell me what I'm expecting? The person was like, Abby, you're going to be on duty today. I said, Dr. Asa, can you send an email to me? and tell me what I'm meant to do. You know, it's okay to ask, you know, I'm covering it. You are going to a new ward. You are going to a new shift. You know, what am I meant to do? You know, you are going to a new cleaning company. What am I meant to do? What is this spelled out? What is the, you know, what do I do with this? You know, what is this person's care plan? You cannot come and say, I've got an extra shift. Oh, okay, there's work there. And you're coming to a new ward. I say, it's just clients now. It's the same thing. No, you know, what is the care plan of this person I've been allocated to? You know, what is the care plan? Someone was sharing with me recently that he got into trouble at work. And what happened was he was allocated to the shift. And the care plan of that man was that he was one that eats batteries. So, you know, so they were sitting in the lounge at the workplace, and the care plan was clear, the clear plan that do not put the remote on the table. As simple as that. It wasn't even about hurting anybody. And what the client did, it was fine. He was watching the TV. He put the remote there, went to the toilet. Before he came back, he had already put the battery and eaten up the battery of the remote control. He ended up in A&E. A massive investigation came up, and there was trouble because you did not know that there was a care plan that said the remote of the remote should not be left on the table. So what I'm saying is that let us be clear. You know, what are the expectations of my employer? You know, what am I meant to do? Be clear on who is your line manager? Who am I reporting to? And these are keys. These are things that are so important that pulls us down, despite the fact that we have good intention. People that have not integrated well into work and have got into workplace trouble, it's not because they are lazy, it's not because they do not have good intention. It's about not understanding and being overzealous without being clear about what is expected of them in the workplace. I'm just trying to change this right now. Okay, so the reason why I've put this picture here is talking about the different people. We can see there that there's so many variations to the color of people that work in this establishment. You know, how do you see yourself? If there's nothing we are picking, you know, from this lesson today, is how do we see yourself? You know, thank God for the talk from Accountant Dami, is that we all coming to struggle. We come into the workplace, to the country, we are struggling, we want to make ends meet. But the question is, how do you see yourself? The moment you start to see yourself, that cat is looking at himself in the mirror. But he's not seeing himself as a cat, he's seeing himself as a lion. That, you know, I can make it, I can do it. So workplace integration starts from how do you see yourself? I remember when I was a carer when I started initially, I came into the country, I had to make money to survive and do my exams. I initially worked in a banana factory. And when I was packing those banana, I saw myself as, you know what, you know, I know I've got a potential, I've got a purpose. You know, I did not define myself based on what I was doing now. And that's one thing we need to do, that no matter what job you're doing now, that job does not define you. How do you see yourself? And when I went to the hospital as a healthcare assistant, I was strategic about getting experience. What I did was I saw myself that I'm here, you know, I do not see, I know what I'm doing, I know where I'm going to. And because the way I saw myself, I will walk up to the managers of the ward, I'll walk up to the consultants in the ward, and I'll ask, you know, how can I help you? You know, do you need any help? No, you know, there's the confidence, because if we do not see ourselves the way God sees us, and this cat is looking at itself as a cat, you know, he will not be able to integrate into the workplace. And that's one thing that we need to hold on to from the lesson. How do you see yourself? You know, number one, we have said that there's so many odds against us. You know, the accent is there. You know, some of us are prejudiced by the color of our skin. You know, so many factors by not understanding the system. But the point is that in the midst of these prejudices, how do you see yourself? You know, if you see yourself in the mirror, not like the cat is seeing himself in the mirror, but what he can see is a lion. If he sees himself like that, no matter what the external experiences are, it doesn't get to him. I've been in workplaces where people have asked me, when are you going back to your country? It doesn't hit any chord in me, because where I'm going to is beyond somebody asking me when I'm going back to my country. You know, I've gone out in a place to call a patient, and I think I've said it before, instead of me to, you know, I called Sian, instead of Sean. S-E-A-N is pronounced as Sean. It was in a waiting room in a very, we had so many patients waiting in the wait. When I got there, I said, hi, Sian something. I can't remember, Sian Collins. And I didn't realize workplace integration that S-E-A-N is not Sian, it's Sean, and I called it wrongly. And the patient stood up and in the midst of the waiting room and said, it's not Sean, it's Sean. I said, oh yeah, I do apologize. I'm sorry, can we go in? It did not, I did not, look at me, we are here, you know where you are going to. Whatever you are going through does not stop where you are going to. People asking you, what's your name? Where's your accent from? We should move away from this racial bias that they are racist against. I'm not saying there's no racism, but let us move away from that, sitting within the concept of, because I'm Black, and because I'm not from this country, and because I'm Asian, people are, let's move away from those concepts, because these are things that prevents us and, holds us down from moving forward. So if somebody asks you where your accent is from, I would conveniently, remember I was still asked that, I would say, you know what, I'm from Nigeria, where are you from? I will ask you, where are you from? Where is your accent from? For those that live in the northern part of the UK, there is a different accent in Scotland, there's a different accent in Liverpool, there's a different accent in London. So accent is everywhere, it doesn't matter. So for you to now feel and people are talking in the staff room and not to talk in the staff room because you feel your accent does not fit in is wrong. Let us not see ourselves like that. People are in the staff room, they're having a chat, join in and have a chat, a sensible chat, and join. You don't sit out and go and eat elsewhere because I don't want to get involved. This is part of workplace integration. Anybody ask you where your accent is from, you are proud about it. Yeah, I'm from Nigeria. Have you been there before? I remember someone was saying it's hot. My colleague was saying at work to last summer, oh, this is so hot. I said, where I am from, this is nothing. They said, Abby, I can understand. I said, my skin is so dark, I would need a lot of sun to cause me to sunburn. She was talking about having sunburn. So I said, this skin, I'll need a lot of sunshine to cause it for it to burn. So, and this is, so you're so proud of where you are from. You are confident in having conversation trying to relegate you. The Lord will help us in you. So that the core about workplace integration is how you see yourself. No matter what you are doing in a company, you form part of the team of the company. Joseph in the Bible was the least in the house of Potiphar. He did his job so excellently well. He saw himself as part of the team and he got promoted. And it was that work, and that integration was, I'm paraphrasing it like, it was that integration was called in Joseph, despite it, even though he had the grace and the favor of God over his life. We all, thank God for it. We're on a Christian platform. We are born again. We've got the grace. We've got the favor of God over our lives. That's not negotiable. But how do we integrate? How do you see yourself? Joseph went to the prison. He that was the worst place to be. In the midst of there, he stood there because he knows that, he became the head of a prison. There must be something about how he sees himself beyond his circumstances. He became the head as a slave, became the head in the prison. There's favor, but there's something about how this man sees himself that he stands out. And then when he got to that point to face the king, he stood out. So what I'm saying is, how do you see yourself? Very, very important in workplace integration. And that's why I've put this picture of different hands. You see yourself as part of the team. Even if you are cleaning a big company, if that office is dirty, that company cannot hold. How can I integrate myself so well that when there is a job, to hire cleaners across the next site, somebody will ask you, Abby, I know you do here. Do you know any company? Do you know anywhere that we need more cleaners? Somebody has called us sick. You can, even within that role that you think is so small, you can even you can bring somebody else into the company because you've integrated yourself so well. Very, very important. How do you see yourself? How do you see yourself? So the next thing, I put this picture here, is very, very descriptive. I know we've heard about the concept of equality, equity, reality, and liberation. But what I'm saying here is, if you look at these three sets of people, the man in the blue, the one in the red, and the little one in the purple, whether we like it or not, we've got different types of barriers that are in front of us. Different barriers in front of us. I'm not talking about the concept of equality or equity, but everybody has got a platform. Even though everybody has got that platform with equality, with the concept of equality, that boy in purple is still small. But the best thing would be to take away the barriers from that liberation, the very last slide, is to take away the barriers, you know, and so many times as, you know, because of where we are from and how we see ourselves, you know, we put barriers in front of us. And when the barriers are even taken, look at that one, the barriers are taken, he's clapping. But the question is, that little child in purple still sees himself as very small. So even when the barriers are taken, how do you see yourself in the midst of everybody? You stand out, you are different, but okay, is this job place? They are racist and they don't like to give people. They know they don't give us shit. They know they don't do this. But how do you see yourself even when the barriers are being taken? Because if you move away from that job role to another job role and you do not see yourself as a lion that I can do it, even when the barriers are taken, you know, one is not even seeing the opportunity. God will help us in Jesus' name. You know, so the last thing I will say is that, you know, let's not feel like I don't fit in. Don't have that mind that I don't fit in, I'm different here. No. The earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof. Even if we are economic migrant, political migrant, we came here because of one thing or the other, you know, you can integrate into the workplace and fit into the workplace. And the first thing is about recognizing the differences. Steps to workplace integration is recognizing the difference. You know, we acknowledge that we are, you know, because we have moved there. That's why, you know, it's a shame if we tend to blend into a culture and then we drop everything about our culture. It's increased awareness of cultural differences. It's not about neglecting our cultural difference and relegating our own cultural difference and feeling, you know, my culture is irrelevant because I have come into a country like this. It's understanding, okay, this is how it works here. This is the language of this place. And understanding that cultural differences is that it then changes to a level where you respect it. And respecting means that, okay, this is how it is in where I come from. This is how it is in this workplace. Oh, right, okay. I appreciate and I respect it. And then the main part of the steps is reconciliation. How do I resolve the cultural differences in a way that, you know, it's beneficial, where I understand them, you know, I understand where I'm coming from, my personal prejudices, and then I understand the workplace. And one common example is, you know, there was a time I took food to work. It's common in my own work that they will say, I'm talking this, and all the things I'm saying are very subtle, but these are the key things that are so subtle but affect workplace integration. So I think that day, I took fish to work or something, rice and fish, which is a normal food we would normally eat. And I used the microwave at work. Oh, God. Everybody was like, wow, who did this? Who won? Yeah. Oh, this fish is so, you know, oh, the strong of fish is so smell. I thought, it's Abby, it's Abby, it's Abby, it's Abby. Oh, you know what? So I had to come to off in the room and I said the staff, I said, you know, I'm sorry, you know, it's not, you know, I'm sorry, I didn't realize the fish was going to smell, and that was it. So, and recognizing differences is to understand that, you know, my fish, that is my Titus fish that I love, that I eat, that is healthy, does not, you know, and I'm respecting their differences, that the smell of me warming the food in the these things look very subtle, that the smell of warming the food in the microwave is perceived as, you know, okay, nobody likes it in the workplace. So I respect that. And reconciling is that it doesn't mean that I'm not going to eat my Titus again, but I reconcile to say, okay, I want to bring food to work. I'm not going to bring Titus to work, not because it's wrong, but because we're going to align and resolve the differences. I'll bring things to food to work that will not cause an uproar. And it doesn't mean I've compromised myself or no, it's just understanding and reconciliation. Very important. So many examples of how we reconcile things, how we reconcile. You know, one other reconciliation I've had is, you know, in workplace, I don't know how it works, you know, in a different work. When people wash cups, we have to be practical ways now. I realize that when the white people wash cup, they wash with the what do you call it, with soap, and they leave it to dry. So in my mind, and we are not using a dishwasher, I'm like, why would you wash a cup, put it in soap, and then leave it to dry with the soap? Our culture is you wash, you rinse, you dry, and you keep away. So I was like, how will somebody wash cup? And then I spoke to her, I said, why do you wash cup? You know, that's how we wash cup. Oh, really? So when you want to use it, you just take it, the soap dries on. You know, we don't do that. Okay. So my reconciliation of that is that When they say, Abby, do you want a cup of tea? You know what? Not really. I've had one. I will just bring one from my house. Oh no, I've got a cup here. So reconciling differences that you want to make me my cup of tea. Okay, you can use my cup. I've got a cup here. You want to use can you use this one for me? Because I can't use the cup because that's just me. So reconciling is finding a way to meet on a common ground. For those that have work and they go for lunch and they go for dinner, the question is, we are used to the fact that why will you go and go to work in the evening and everybody is going to dinner and you are going when you can go back home to work. But once in a while, you can say, okay, I'm going to go, I'm not eating much, I'm not going to have a cup of juice because it's part of workplace interview. So the long and short is, how do you see yourself as part of a team? And if you do not integrate, there are so many issues that goes on in work that gets us into trouble that if we have integrated so much into work, some troubles would not even surface. I've had cases where I have, accidentally, I remember the case where I think I've given the example where I wrote on the patient's note a bit differently. And the pricing manager got a comment. I said, Abby, don't worry, just call her and say, apologize that, and that was it. But that thing that we sorted on the phone could have led me into having to contact my insurance to write a report. Sometimes it's little mistake that you make, and the research you say, Abby, don't worry. Oh, Abby, you printed this prescription on the wrong person. I've shredded it, and I've taken it. Oh, okay, that's okay. Thank you, G. So things that because of so much relationship and integration would help you avoid. We don't get that support in work because we have not integrated. A colleague of what is telling you, I'm going on holiday. We are not used to talking about our plans from what, based on our culture. And she comes back, you pretend as if you did not hear. Oh, how was the holiday? Did you enjoy yourself? Where did you go to? Can I have a look at pictures? It's not part of our culture. We are not used to that, but we have to learn it. So you say, oh, yeah, okay, oh, right. So that was that looks good. Well, I hope you enjoyed yourself. Fine. Somebody went off sick. You didn't see her for 1 week. How was your weekend? And you genuinely care, not the facial laughter that people give. You genuinely care. If somebody goes for a knee replacement and comes back and you say, how is your knee? I remember I had a friend, one of the reception at work was off sick. And a friend said she was going to, I said, you know what? I wrote a scribble. I hope you feel better on a little piece of paper. And I sent it to her, thinking about you, lots of love in Abby. And I sent it to her. That single act costed me nothing, but that's part of caring and workplace integration. So what I'm saying in essence is, we need to get to a point where we move away from the transactional way of working. I'm here to do my work, and off we go. Because if we are going to go far, even in business, for those that are running business, there's a workplace, there's a language among the business people. There's a language. And if you don't understand the language and you don't integrate, people that are supplying you things into the shop, they will supply other people, they will not supply, they'll say there's no products. But if we understand the language of wherever we work, where there is an opportunity, we will advance. While we are there, you would advance because you are seen as part of the team. So I'm going to stop here, and I don't know if anybody has a question. God bless us in Jesus' name.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mama. We really appreciate your contribution. Thank you so much for the insights. Honestly, I can connect the dots from where Akantandami stopped and where you took over. Looking at the vision side of it, first of all, where do we see ourselves? And looking at that picture you shared of the cat seeing himself as a lion. So where do we see ourselves? So irrespective of wherever we find ourselves at the moment, we shouldn't lose focus of our vision. And the key thing to making us achieving our vision is workplace integration, which is all about building relationship at work. Relationship is very, very key. It's something that is subtle, very, very intangible, but it takes us to the next level. So before you leave, please, can we have Mr. Akinwale Ogunleye, can we have your question? Make it very brief, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And please, can you hear me very well?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Doctor, for that great presentation. Wow, it's a world-class standard. It's not only for UK, it's global. I'm opportunity to work with a multinational company in the last 15 to 20 years, multiracial environment, and I can speak to most of things you said. I can attest to that. Thank you very much. And this is a refresher class for me. My question is this. This is my question. I have this plan that if I'm going to migrate to UK or US, and one of the first things I'm going to learn is I'm going to go to language school to be able to speak in accent, the local accent. And I want to ask, from your wealth of experience, is that idea, is it necessary in a workplace? Because I believe that I always tell my wife, she always laugh at me. I say, this is my Nigerian English. I won't go to UK. And after 3, 4, 5 years in UK, I'll still be speaking this Nigerian English. That's so my plan was anytime I migrate, language school is the first thing. I have to speak in that accent. But I know how language connects people together. In your own, from your experience, is that necessary? That's my question.
Okay, thank you so much for the question. So I would say it's not necessary, you know, but and that's why I put in that picture is how you see yourself. You know, the everybody has got an accent, even the way I speak now. Maybe I'm speaking a bit better now because I'm presenting, I'm used to presenting. Everybody is very different. But the issue about workplace integration is recognizing our differences, respecting and reconciliation. Is about understanding the language wherever you are. No matter how much language school you go to, sir, your English would not be as perfect like the English of the children or someone that has been born in the US or in the UK. We can get there. You could be very close, but maybe there'll be evidence that, you know, this is where you have come from. But I think the question is about number, and I already said that is how you see yourself. What have I got to offer in this company? If you've got the experience, you've got the skill set, you've got the diligence, you've learned the language of that place, there is nowhere you cannot face. I've been to meetings with NHS England bosses with this, my normal English, but you know, it's the confidence with how you express yourself and the experience and the skill set you have to offer. You don't need any language. It's about understanding the language. I had to learn some things, you know, when I came into the country and my first job, the patient was saying, I've got problem with my number one. I was like, Kilonja number one, what's number one? I did not realize, even as a doctor, I did not realize that number one means that you've got problems with passing urine. And number two means that you've got problem with passing physics. So when the patient said, oh, doctor, so I've had this problem with my number one. And, you know, anytime I go for number one, there's a problem. I go often. So I was like, so I had to say, okay, sorry, you know what? So what, sorry, I hope you don't mind me. You know, I don't get it. What's number one? I had to ask. But if you have the confidence, whether you don't understand or you don't know, you don't feel down that you don't understand. You are ready to ask and you're ready to learn. That's all you need. You don't need any language school, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma.
Yes,
is there another question from anybody? Any other question? Okay. Can you please start by introducing yourself and making the question very brief, please?
Yeah, my name is William Oluwaseun, Oldham, Manchester. Please, my question is, I had an training with some Jamaica people in the UK here.
Yes, sir.
And to integrate with them, to relate with them became so difficult for me. Like the manner, the way they do their things and the way they talk is quite difficult to understand. Sometimes I would like, well, what do you say? Like they find it difficult to understand my own kind of language, the kind of asset I have. And also I find it very difficult to relate with them. And I don't have any other choice than to pass through that training. Please, what are those steps? What are those things unique I can put in place to help me to understand them more better?
Okay. So, sir, is this a training or you are working together for a long term? Is it a long-term training?
They asked me to pass through a training. I'm new in UK, so I'm just trying to get a job. So they asked me to pass through a training. But I've been finding it very, very difficult to relate with them, despite the fact that I want to relate, I want to get to know them, but it's quite difficult because their language, their Jamaica stuff is quite different. Like it's not normal English.
It's not. It's very, very different. And so when you do it for a couple of hours and you leave, or you are there all day, how does it work?
Yeah, just when they need me, they called like, Sheon, can you come? Can you please come for a training today? Like, okay, I'll see. I'm quite busy today. I will come tomorrow. So like 4 hours, sometimes 5 hours.
Okay. Is it possible? Because one thing I did before, is it possible to record when you are there and go home and replay it and then replay and learn what they are saying? That's a possibility. Because if it's a job that you need and you have to go at different times, it might be what you know, not because you're recording for any problem. If you record conversations and you go back home and you play it in your own time and you then pick up what they are saying, it's a way of learning their language, you know, the way they talk themselves. If you can't do away with them and there's no other option for now, that's a way to learn.
Okay.
You know, that's a difficult one because the way Jamaican language is very, very different. The English and the communication is very different. And if you've got so many Jamaicans that work in that company and you need to be there at that time,
I think we are just two that we are Nigerian. We are just two.
Yes. So I think maybe, you know, it will come with time. Maybe don't be too hard on yourself. Learning the language comes with time. It took a while for me to learn. You know, patients are giving history. I'm trying to, okay, can you come again? Can you slow down? You know, it does take a while. So don't be too hard on yourself. It will take a while. But sometimes recording and going back home and playing it, you will then pick up those phrases in a way that on the real life when you're talking the next time, it's a bit better. But don't be too hard on yourself. It's a while to learn a language, especially as an adult.
Thank you.
All right, sir.
Thank you very much for that response, ma. Any other question from anybody? Do you have any question before Mama leaves because she's also pressed for time? I think in a nutshell, what I've picked here is that workplace integration is very, very important because it fosters relationship for us as employers between colleagues and even our managers and our employers. And it's a currency that especially we immigrants, needs to have to, move to the next level. From my own even personal experience, there was a time where I was working in somewhere like a warehouse, and despite the fact that I was agency and things like that, anytime I'm not going to be available, I will tell the manager, I'll text him, I'm not here, and that thing sustained me for about 9 to 10 months in that place. That even when they're asking people to go home, he will ask me to stay. So, and I had that relationship with him till I got another job. And even when I left, that's why I was working in an agency, I did a form of exit, like recognition that I'm stopping your job. Thank you for keeping me to this moment. So it's very key that we take on board what Mama has just said. We really appreciate you, Mama, and
Thank you, sir.
God bless you. Thank you so much. So we'll be going to the next stage, which is going to be preparing for interviews, answering interview questions. And we have Mrs. Adeyanju, I know, taking over. Thank you. Sorry.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. And I'm just going to share my screen quickly. I know we have very limited time before the end of this program. I'm not able to share my screen. Please, could you allow me to? Could the host please allow me to share my screen, please? Can you see my screen, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So I'm just quickly going to run through all of this quickly. And this session is to guide us basically on some of the top questions that we are likely to be asked at when we go for interviews. And I'm just going to concentrate on the very general ones. Of course, interview questions will vary for different roles and different, industries and levels and some areas of special consideration as well. But these ones that we will be talking about briefly, I have like 10 minutes to go through this, are going to be the general ones that and there are things that we should prepare ourselves ahead of time. And these are part of the things that they would check before or while they're trying to evaluate if we are the best for the position or not. And some of these are, the first one here I have is your top strengths. For every role, the panel, the interview panel, are interested in knowing what are your strengths, what are you going to be bringing on board, what can we leverage on basically to ensure that the job gets done. So if we hire you, what are those strengths that you'll be bringing on board? Everyone should know what their strengths are, and one of the cheat code to this is ensuring that you know what the job role is all about. I think we touched on that the last session. One of the key things is to ensure that you understand what the job role is, what exactly are they expecting. Most times they put the job description and who their ideal person for this job should be. So ensure that your strengths are aligned with this person specification that they must have put there. So probably they are looking for someone who is a graduate, for example, or who has a postgraduate certificate, or who's worked in this industry for like 4 to 5 years, or someone, it depends on the role. So there are different things that they would put in the job description. So your responsibility when you have an interview coming up, or even when you're putting in your application, is to emphasize your top strengths and let it be obvious. Let them know, because if you don't tell them, they don't know. And I mean, the onus is on you to ensure that they know what your top strengths are. When we are talking about strengths, it does not necessarily have to be something completely tangible that you can list out, like the way we say, oh, we have a master's degree, we have a qualification in this, we have a qualification in that. It could be some of the soft skills. If they're actually looking out for lots of soft skills here, which comes with experience. So, for example, one of your top strengths might be problem solving. How have you been able to solve problems in the past?
Without taking up extra space. Designed for those who want more than just a recliner.
Okay.
Home cinema seating.
How have you been able to solve problems in the past? It could be your leadership skills. Were you a team lead before? How, what were the things you were able to do based on these strengths? All of these things are what you should have at the back of your mind. For almost every job, they would most likely look out for what your top strengths are, because those are the things that they will evaluate at the end of the day. The next thing they look out for is company fit. So before you apply, I understand that we're looking for a job and, we put in loads of applications. And sometimes, I've been there before too, where I just put in, back in the days, just put in application to anywhere, because I was just seriously looking for a job, and I would, churn out lots of application. And then when one of the recruiters call, and I'm like, this is like my first time of hearing that the name of this company, and I then start to rush through to see, quickly Google what's this company doing and all of that. It's actually not the very best. I mean, the best thing is to always keep track of, the companies that you're putting in your application to, and ensure that this company, it aligns with your career goal, your career expectation. It aligns with your career expectations, basically, because sometimes just because we want to just get a job, sometimes we just put in application, and at the end of the day there is a misalignment between yourself, your experience, where you're going to, and this company. So, and most times too, your interview panel are also checking to see if you are a fit for their company as well. So it's a mutual thing, really. So are you a fit for them? Is the company a fit for you as well? So during the interview, these are things that they will check, like your culture, your work culture, what are those things that it's a must for them in that company. Do you have those things? So those are the things that you need to do before your interview. You need to make some findings about the company, about their goals and all of that, what they stand for. So there are some companies, LGBTQ plus. I mean, there was a particular job I was applying for, and they were specifically, they specifically mentioned it, like LGBTQ is like I mean, they are actually even embracing more of those kind of people. So if I were to apply to that job, or if I should get that job, that means I will be very comfortable with all of those things, and I wouldn't. I mean, whatever it is that they do, whatever it is that they show, I mean, at work, must always be aligning with me, irrespective of whatever my beliefs are and all. Even though it is like a common thing here in the UK, right? But there are some companies that are really so heavy on it, like they instead of just I mean, in almost every company in our organization, they give room for these people, but they're not blowing it right in your face. They just make you admit that, oh, they are humans too, they are like you, they have every right like you do, and they have the right to work in that organization just the same way you have the right to do that. But there are some companies that, and I wouldn't mention this particular company, but it is like a way of life in that company, and I knew that I was going to struggle to work in that company, and I just let it go. So company fit is one of the things that they also ask and are looking out for. Then problem solving, they always want to know, how do you handle problems? How do you shrink or when the weight of problem comes, or you try to look out for, or you are the type that likes to play the blame game. So in your answers, they would they'll be able to uncover who you are when it comes to problem solving. So it is important that when you're giving your answers, I always try to, most of these things, I always have like some answers ready that relates to that kind of job. So that job role is also important. So how do you solve problems? What kind of problems do you envisage that you would get on that kind of job or in that job role? So how would you solve it? Those are things that you should have mapped out already. So have like a scenario and for every question. It is important. I know they say use the STAR method and all of that. We'll come to that very soon. But one thing I always do, and it has worked for me and worked for some other people, is to ensure that for every question, have a scenario that you're going to paint. What, like a problem, what was your role, how did you solve it? So in those explanation, your soft skills, they would definitely come out. So how you were able to solve the problem, how you were able to handle the situation, probably there was a delay, how you were able to handle it such that the project got back on track, how you were able to manage stakeholders, manage people, lead the team and all of those things. It depends on the role, like I said. So ensure that you have a ready-made answer. Now, I'm not asking you to tell lies because a lot of people do that. just ensure that it's something that you can relate with. And when you're going into a new place, I started a new job recently, and it's not a space that I had worked before, but I had some transferable skills that I told them during the interview, like, I've not done this before. I've not worked in the health sector before. I've not, done anything related to, social care and all of that. However, coming from where I'm coming from, I have these, the data management skills, I have the leadership skills and all of that, and I can bring this on board. And this is how I will bring it on board. And I mean, the rest is history. I got the job. So it is important that bring whatever experience that you have, if you've not worked in that sector or industry before. But if you have, I mean, the better, because you'll be able to relate directly to say that, oh, this is, in the past, this is what I've done, this is the success story at the end of the day. So always have a ready-made scenario of related activity or situation that you can explain, and ensure that you're not just telling story, like you're not just giving them in quote, but you're actually pointing them to those skills that you want them to see. So those your strengths that you had mentioned before, that you had cited example of before, you are pointing them to it, that, oh, when there was a failure somewhere, this is what you did and rescue the situation, or you had to stand in at a particular point, or how you were able to be a team player and all of that. So those are things that you should ensure that it comes out from your from the scenario, from the story that you're going to tell. They're also looking out for how you've, we are humans, it's possible there will definitely be some flop. I mean, especially if you've had some years of experience, there would definitely have been some downtime where something must have gone wrong. You can't say that all through your 13 years of experience, nothing went wrong at any point in time. You can easily say that, oh, this was, in the early days of your career. I mean, that's what I say most times anyways. I mean, and I bring out those things where I failed as a young research executive. This is where I failed, and I soon learned that this is how to do it, and this is how I got out of the mess and all of that. So it's important that you have such, I wouldn't call them negative stories, but it also highlights how you've learned, your professional learnings, and all of the skills that you have garnered over time, learning from such experiences as well. And of course, they will definitely ask about your weakness. Now, how I answer this question is, I always say that, oh, I used to. I always come from I used to, and this is how I've been able to, work through it. And now I am in this level. I could do better, but I mean, it's not as bad as when it was like it was before. So I always paint this weakness question in this way, to say that it used to be like this. I have improved by doing this. This is where I am now, but it could be better, and I'm still learning. So that they see that, okay, you're taking on board probably learning from it, feedbacks, and you're working on it. There's an improvement, meaning that you're doing a good job and you could do better. And then your achievements, please do not sell yourself cheap. It is important that, just like Mama said earlier, who do you see yourself to be? Don't cower in, don't make yourself small, so that they don't, irrespective of the role. I mean, there was one role I applied for, it was like a band 4 role. It was beneath me, I mean, in quotes. But even there, I gave them all my achievements. There was a reason why I was applying for the role, because I just wanted to get my leg into the public sector. I've worked all my life in the private sector, and I wanted to get into the public sector. And, all the jobs I've been applying for in the public sector, they keep on saying, I mean, for the senior roles, managerial roles and all, they keep on saying, oh, you don't have experience, you don't have the NHS experience, or you don't have this health sector, blah, blah, blah. And no. And I said, okay, I'm going to apply for a junior role, get myself in, get the experience, understand what it is, then I'll start applying for the senior roles. And I went for this one, I think in December, thereabouts. I went for the role, for the job interview. And they were asking questions, and I just kept on talking about my achievement and my experiences and all of that. And my husband took me for the interview. So when I got back and I was telling, he said they will not employ you because you're even talking above all the things that they are even expecting. But guess what? They called me and gave me the job. So at every point in time, never undersell yourself or underrate your achievements. Don't make it small. Don't make it small just so that so that you can get employed. If they will employ you, they will employ you. If they think that you are too your achievement is way more than what they can handle, you move on, and you definitely get another one. So it is important that at every point in time, stand tall, raise your head up high, and let them know this is who you are, these are your values, this is what you'll be bringing on board. If it works for them, they would definitely bring you on board. And most times they will definitely bring you on board because they know that there is one or two things that you would bring on board, and it's now left for you to move from that level to the next level, like Accountant Damilola said. So let's check. This is going to be the last. Okay, there's one more, but let us see some of the examples of the questions. I know we are running out of time already. So the first one is, tell me about yourself. So I mean, what the question is, what they really want to know is, who are you? They want to see how you sell yourself, basically. What's your story structure? What's the relevance of who you are to this role? So it's not just for you to say, oh, my name is this, I graduated this, I did blah, blah. I mean, if you are not, applying for an entry level role, that they are expecting that, oh, they want a fresh young graduate who has probably little or no experience. I mean, go straight to those things that you have done that relates to that role. So your achievements, your years of experience. Move on from your years of experience to talking about, it depends on the role. As a manager, this is what you have done. You've managed 6 people. Your last team were a team of 8, blah, 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 and talk about your achievements that relate to that role. Put them quick summary, no stories, but highlight those achievements so that they know that this is who they are talking to and this is what you're bringing on board. These are your values. And then another question is, why our company? They would always ask, why have you chosen to apply to this place? So it's not just that you were just wandering in the desert and looking for where to put your head in quotes. So it's important that you know about their company and what are those things that it's a mutual thing. Like I said before, you are going to offer your values. What do you intend to get from the company? And it's not just the money alone, but what are those other things? So you need to look out for areas. I was just talking to a friend a couple of days ago, and he wanted to talk to the CEO of a company in Canada. He's in Canada, and he was asking me how should he introduce himself to this person on LinkedIn. And I told him that first put it on ChatGPT. Let's see what ChatGPT gives to you. And he came back and showed me that this is what ChatGPT said. I said, okay, so we are going to modify it. Look at what has the company done. Is a software company. I said, so what are their latest innovation that you can talk about? And then now for this COO, what type of event has she gone to recently that you can relate with, and then you can say, oh, your experience aligns with this event or this activity and all of that. So always take some time to find out about the company and pick out 1 or 2 things. It could be that they support career growth or personal development, and that is of interest to you because you like to learn more. at every point in time, it could be one of the reasons why you have chosen that company, or it could be that because of, like this example I gave, their latest innovation, how it aligns with your skill set and your interest and all of that. So those are things that they're expecting to hear from you. The next one is how you attend to challenging situation. I think we've already talked about it. Your problem-solving skills. What kind of initiative did you bring on board? Were you quick, like a quick thinker, where your analytical mindset has, helped to find solutions to problem? Are you solution-oriented? That is the stuff that they are looking out for in this one. And then the next one is example of leadership. Leadership, you don't necessarily have to be a team lead or have held a managerial position before you can display examples of leadership. It could be amongst your peers. What were those things that you did? It could be that, you noticed that there was a problem and you spoke up and gave ideas on how best to move as a team, and how you supported your other colleagues and all of that to get on board, and all of those things. So just look out for key skills that a leader, that are leadership skills. We can always Google that and see what are those leadership skills, and cite an example of how you have displayed one or two of those skills in your previous roles. And then the next one is handling multiple priorities. I mean, how do you juggle several projects together? I mean, back in Nigeria, and that's always the example I cite. Back in Nigeria, I was a project manager, and at the point, our team, for some reason, we used to be a team of 12, and for some reason, everybody was just moving, and then it came down to only 5 of us. And imagine having to share the workload of 12 people to 5 people. And at the point, I was handling 14 projects. They were research projects, and they were like multi-country projects. So, I mean, handling different time zones and all of that. And what was my saving grace? I had a platform that we used back then, that it was internal. Put all the projects there, put all the timelines there, all the deadlines, who is handling what, and where are these people, what's the timeline, what's this person going to do that would affect the other person. I had everything mapped out, and which one could I prioritize over the other? I had all of those things mapped out, and so I was, of course, working. It was stressful, but I was able to stay on top that none of my projects was delivered late. All my projects, as a matter of fact, delivered all the projects before the deadline and made good margin for the company. And this is how I sell myself when it comes to handling multiple priorities. Ensure that you have that example that they can relate with. I mean, I go further explaining than what I've just done, but because we have limited time, I just had to give that brief one. But ensure that you give necessary details that is related to the job role. Then you also want to know team collaboration success. How have you been a good team player? So what was the problem? What role did you play as part of that team? And what was the achievement at the end of the day? So ensure that when you're answering this type of question, where they want to know you as a team player, ensure that you mention what you as a person did in that team. So it's not enough to say, oh, our team have a problem, and then this is how we. They want to know you as a person. What did you do? Oh, my role was to ensure that the report was delivered on time. I wrote the report. Or my own role was to ensure that the logistics was taken care of. This was how I distributed this and that. Ensure that you mention your role, and afterwards, what was the outcome? Ensure that you also state the outcome. Ensure that how your role brought about that success of the outcome is also stated. So for every interview, try to invest some time to prepare for those interviews, because it's only when you prepare, you give the very best. It's not about you cramming these things, because those are some of the mistakes that some people do make. I've had a friend that came from Birmingham to Manchester for an interview, a senior role. But all through her journey in the train from Birmingham to Manchester, what she was doing was cramming all of these things. Also, if they ask me this question, this is what I'll say, crammed it. If they ask me this question, this is what I'll say, crammed it. At the end of the day, she came. First of all, the kind of questions they asked her were more of the job. So it was more of data related. And she was thrown off balance because for some reason she was not, as much as she prepared, she was preparing wrongly. She was busy cramming. Don't cram. Just ensure that you have, plausible answers to give when they ask some of these questions. You don't have to cram, except you are telling lies. Do you get? You don't have to cram if this is what you have done in the past. It's very easy to bring out an example of, if you ask me now, well, give us an example of a time where you faced challenges in your in your previous job. The quickest that comes to my head was when we had a problem on a project. We were bringing in new devices and they were just building it in Dubai, and it was going to take 6 weeks originally. Eventually took 12 weeks. It threw us off balance. This was how we managed the clients. This was how we managed the devices that we had at that time and all of that. So it's what you have done. You don't have to tell lies about it. And if you've not done it directly before, don't be afraid to say, oh, while you've not had this experience directly, but you've had similar experience that you think that how you solved that problem can be brought on board. So you don't have to tell lies. Ensure that you're as truthful as possible, but make sure that you are still bringing value for each question. The next one is handling feedback. At every point in time, there is need for us to grow. And so, on the job and personally, like we've heard earlier, but on the job, your manager could say that, I think you need to work on this area. They would ask you because they want to know who they are bringing into their company. How have you handled feedback before? Or cite an example. For every question, always make sure that you cite an example and bring out the skill that they want to see and bring out the value that they want to see. Are you the type that when they tell you this or give you this feedback, you get angry, like, oh, just like Mama said, oh, it's because I'm black, that's why they are saying this? There is tendency to have that, yes. I've experienced some of that, yes. But at that particular point, what they want to see is, oh, I was told that I needed to communicate better, and this was how I started doing, or this was how I implemented the change, and this is the result now. I'm in this particular space now, and it's a better one, and all of that. Ensure that you cite that. Adapting to change is also an important one. Are you the one that you are not receptive to change, but you need to let them know that, oh, in the past, this is it. And if you've not had that experience, if you've not been in a situation, I doubt if you've had some experience and you've not had to change probably processes or ways of working and all of that. But if for any reason you've not had that, let them know that, oh, you are open, you are flexible, you can accommodate the change. It's definitely for the progress of the company or for the team or for the department. Ensure that you show that enthusiasm, that you are receptive to change and you are flexible like that. And problem solving, we've talked about that. Your learning mindset, is part of, you could cite that as an example of adapting to change as well. Then going above and beyond, they want to know, especially for these customer service roles or roles that are client facing, they want to know that at every point in time, you are not, chasing the clients away by your attitude. Are you ready to really help them beyond what, like Mama said, some people will say that this is what they have employed me for, I'm not going to do more than that. I've just started a job recently, and someone there was telling me, I think he's Ghanaian now, yes. He was telling me that, see, don't do more than they have asked you to do. Don't do this, don't do that. I said, okay. Shame me, I know already what, if you want to really grow, there are times that you have to do a little bit much more than what you have been asked to do. Bring in some initiatives, ask them. The only thing that you ensure to do is it okay? Ask your manager, is it okay if I do this? Get that permission. Don't just take laws into your hands to just do as you wish, but ask that, oh, I'm able to do this. Should I go ahead with this? I'm able to contribute this or help to do this. Should I go ahead? Just get the permission, but don't get stuck into that idea of only what they have asked me to do is what I'll do, and so be it. So you need to show that, because at the end of the day, these are things that they're also going to ask you in your interview. How have you gone above and beyond before? And then making difficult decisions is always a tough one, but at every point in time, always ensure that you let them know that you are not acting based on your emotions or your feelings. You are acting based on facts and figures, which is from data. And then this is how you handled the situation. Give the reasons, and you don't have to give in-depth details about those things, because that could also speak against you, that, oh, that's how you'll be spilling details of our company in the next interview that you go for. So always make sure that you curtail the information that goes out while you are showing your skills and your value set. Just, I think, more examples of possible questions. Describe a time when you went above and beyond. We've just talked about that. Describe a time when you had to work with a difficult customer or client or service user. One of the things that you must ensure to project while you're explaining this is to show, one, your listening skills, your communication skills, how you were able to solve the problem and still maintain a smiley face at the end of the day. Highlight those empathy that you showed, how you showed concern, how you were able to understand what the problem is and how you were able to solve the problem at the end of the day. Those are things that they're looking out for. Constructive criticism is the feedback we talked about before. Challenging situation, I think we've talked about that. How do you prioritize your work? Your time management skills is what they're looking out for here. So, it depends on the role. I've had to work with product designers before and, IT guys, and we've used different platforms. So ensure to sell your IT skills in this. Now, saying that, oh, you were able to work using some platforms like Trello, like Jira, and depending on the organization, how you do it. And if you are not using any of those things, it could be as little as saying that you have a to-do list. This is when you have to deliver. This is what time, and then you look at. You could go from small to big, or you could go from saying that this is really important because it's going to stop the other team or the other department from progressing. So you look at the level of importance of those things. It could be as simple as that, basically. And then, why did you leave your previous job? Always have this answer ready. That is if you have left, or sometimes they might ask you, why do you want to leave? Most times I just stick to growth. I would like to take on, higher challenges, and all of that. Nobody's asking you, even if they frustrated you back where you're coming from, you don't talk about that, and you don't ever say anything, give any bad comments about probably your manager, your workplace or anything. Make it look positive from you, saying that you're trying to move on to take on higher challenges. The next one here is, what would you do if you were given a task you've never done before? I think I touched on this earlier too, saying, just showing your enthusiasm to be able to learn, your willingness to learn, show that you could. How do you learn? By doing some research, talking to people, probably shadowing someone that had done that before. And you could also say that you put it in smaller chunks so that you can, attend to it bit by bit like that. And then how do you handle working in a fast-paced environment? I'm sure we've had at one point in time, even school life is also a fast-paced one, where you move from one lecture to another. That's if you don't have any experience before, but I'm sure we would definitely have some work experience before, no matter how small, even if it is just internship. Talking about how you have tight deadlines that you had to, to meet, some probably workloads and all of that, and how you manage your time, and you were able to prioritize what was important and urgent over what was important but could wait, or and all of that. The next one is, can you give an example of how you've improved processes at work? So basically, they want to know whether you are one person that is positive and thinking about, the company, the team, and have the interest of the company and team at heart, and how you were able to say, so they want to see if you're a problem solver, solution oriented, and looking for ways to improve things, basically. So you're talking about, most times here for me, I talk about cost reduction. I talk about how the processes have improved from probably doing something manually to automated and all of that. So look at what relates to the job that you're applying for, and or related to that industry. Sometimes it might not be the job itself, I mean, the role itself, but probably what is important in that industry. And you talk about or give an example of. Describe a time that you made a mistake at work. You might it's difficult to say that you've never made mistake, especially for someone like me that have years of experience, and then they'll come back also in your 13, 14 years, you've never made any mistake. That's impossible. So cite example of probably you were supposed to send, and there are different types depending on the role. But for someone like me, the mistake was, back in my early days, where I forgot to send a mail, thinking that it could be sent the next day, and meanwhile it was going to delay those in field progressing, and that delay did, it impacted on us delivering to clients at a particular point in time. And I said, this is what I've learned from it. Going forward, do not delay in, sending information, or as soon as you notice that there's a problem, tackle it right there and then. And also cite an example and tell them what you've learned and what you've started doing as a result of that is making life, easier and better for you on the job. And tell me about a time when you had to adapt to a significant change. I think we've talked about that. And then this last one is salary expectation. So most times what I do is, if the job does not have, specific amounts already stated that this is what we can do, what I most times do is to throw it back to the recruiter or the panel, like, what is the budget for this role? So it has worked for me before, because I was going to tell them, I think my very first official job in the UK, I was going to tell them that I wanted to collect £30,000 per year, because I was just looking for an office job. So any amount you want to give me, I'm ready to collect. And then the recruiter said, our budget for this role is between 35 to 45,000. Instantly I said, is that 45,000 that I want? When I no, they said between 30,000 to 40,000. So I said 40,000. And then when after that, I now told my husband that, see, I made a mistake. I should have said that I want more, because if they had this, then there's possibility. Now, don't get me wrong, it could have backfired, but it did work, because I did ask for more and they gave me more. So most times I don't know this the right word to use, but it's like you playing a game. Because if you tell them a specific amount, it could be lower. If it is more, they will tell you that, oh, sorry, it is more. Sometimes they will come back and sometimes they will not come back. That's another thing. So most times, don't give them like a specific amount. Give them a range, and most times I give them a wide range. That's if I am forced to mention it, especially probably when you are filling forms online. I always use a range so that when you come back, my range will be part of, and of course, do your findings, do your research, know what is obtainable for that particular role and in that industry. And I mean, now for private sector, I think for public sector, when you is a band 4, this is how much you get. Is a band 6, this is how much you get. You will know, and they will always start from from that base, right? But for private sector, it's not specific. So most times what I do is look out for what is the range or average for this role and go a little bit higher than that, and that has worked for me. So most times send it back to them. When they ask them what is the budget. Some recruiters are really very funny and they will say, oh no, or sometimes they will just reduce the amount just because they want to save cost and go back to their company and say, oh, we saved this cost. At the end of the day, you get disgruntled because you now find out that, oh, you've been underpaid and people on the same role or the same level are earning higher than you, and you will definitely not be happy. So it's always important to ask them, let them state, oh, we won't go further than this amount or higher than this amount. Then oh, this is going to work for me, this will work for me. And don't be afraid to turn down jobs that, especially if you are not in their need. I would say that don't be afraid to turn down some jobs. I've turned down a couple of jobs that I know that it wouldn't worth it at the end of the day, and I'll be unhappy because I'll know that this is not what I'm supposed to be earning, and someone is earning much more than me, and I'm putting the whole of me into a job earning lesser than those that are my colleagues. There's a way it impacts your output at the end of the day. So it will be better to negotiate for what you think you're happy with than take on the job and then be unhappy, and it will affect your outcome. So this is where I will draw the curtain for today. Any question, please? Are there any questions, please? Are there any questions, please? I think I'll just hand over to the convener.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the insights.
Please, I have a question.
Oh, okay. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you for the lecture. My name is Pelemo Oluwashim. Please, if the interviewer asks you, like, what do you like to know about us? What are the things you ask them? Like, they ask you a question like, any question for us? What do you like to know about us? What are those likely things we need to ask them?
Yes, I mean, thank you very much. That's an important one. Never leave an interview without having a question for them. So most times, the type of questions I always ask them is, number one is, what is the major challenge that the department or the team currently facing that this role would be helping to solve? So they then go into it. So it's just more about what their expectations are for this role. So most times that's the first question I ask. Or you could ask it in another way that what are your expectations for someone for this role, for someone taking on this role within the next 3 months or 3 to 6 months? What are you expecting that this person would have achieved, or what do you think? What are your expectations that this person would have brought on board? So that's another question to ask. Another question to ask would be that yes, another question could be that what is a day like on this, this role? You could also ask them that what has working in this company been like for you, or what do you like for this person, and for this role. I mean, for this person working in this role, what is a typical day like. I think that's 3. Can I think of another one? I mean, most times most times I ask 2 questions. Or you could also ask that, was after the first question, another question that you could ask is, what's the next stage in this recruitment process? How long more? And they'll tell you, we are still recruiting this, or we are still interviewing, blah, blah, blah. You could also ask that. And then you could also ask how soon. But that's after you've asked like a key question. Maybe a follow-up question could be, how soon would you want this role filled? And what else again? Yeah, those are the type of questions I ask.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a question,
Yeah. How best do we prepare for and navigate game-based recruitment processes? Honestly.
Hello, yeah, please, God bless you. Mention your name, mention the location. I think that's the best way to ask question. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So there's a question here that says that how do we prepare for and navigate game-based recruitment process? From Pastor Sam. I think the best thing is, for most interviews and the type of interview, I think the best thing is to first Google it, and so that you could see some related questions in the past. And I mean, ChatGPT is also doing a good job now. It brings up, possible scenarios of such type of interview and recruitment process. And because there are different types of interview processes. Some of them might even want you to come in and spend a day with them, and they see how they give you different challenges, they make you do different activities in that one day, and they are assessing you, because there are some other people in there too, and they're assessing you how you're carrying on. So there are different types of interviews, but I would say that for this particular one, I've not had one before, so I'm not in the best position to really say that this is how it goes or this is what you should do. But if I were in this situation where I have to do this, the first thing I'll do is to Google it and see what are the various scenarios that are possible that would happen, or how it goes, how it runs basically, or use ChatGPT and then pick out those things and start coming up with various likely questions or likely activities that will be presented. Thank you. Is there any other question, please?
Any other question from the house?
Yes, please. I have a question. Sorry.
Okay, your name.
My name.
Okay,
my name is Oduwatayo from Milton Keynes. Yeah, my question is, I actually had an experience when I just came into the UK. I applied for a job with the HMP, that's the prison service. And because I was an officer in Nigeria, so I felt I had some little experience. And luckily for me, when I went for the interview went well. In fact, right from the interview, they were saying, "Oh, you performed well, you did this, you did that." And before I got to them, they sent congratulations to me that I've been successful in the interview. But to my surprise, maybe 2 weeks later, while they were doing all this their verification and stuff like that, they told me, unfortunately, we cannot go ahead because you are not 3 years in the country. So that 3 years of a thing, why? I don't know the system in the UK or something, but I don't understand why is it public service jobs, or I don't know, maybe private also does it. Do they require these 3 years of a thing?
Yeah, I think my understanding of the other 3 years is, within those 3 years, they would know who you are. They would have established, who you are in the system. And I think you have a lot of public sector jobs like that. I think some private sectors too, any job that has to do with that you will be dealing with the public, especially for information that are important information, basically, about people. They always ask for that for you to do some security clearance, and most times they will say yes. 3 years, but I think my understanding of the 3 years is you will be able to establish, you would have been able to establish yourself. Financially, they would know that, are you creditworthy? Have you been involved in any form of, crime? Or, I mean, within those 3 years, they'll be able to establish that you're of good character, basically, within the system, within the UK system. I think that's one of the reasons why they ask for those 3 years. But I don't think it applies to all the government jobs, no. But certain jobs, because, for example, I mean, the prison, of course, they definitely need to know who they are bringing in on board. And so for security reasons, yes, so they'll definitely ask for 3 years.
Thank you very much. I get that clearly now.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Is there any other question from anybody? Does anybody have any question? Yeah. So on this one, I think the major take here is that if we are preparing for interview, we should do enough research. From what the last presenter has said, she has advised us to do enough research about the company we are going to, know about them, and also sell ourselves properly. It's very important that we also sell ourselves. I saw a survey on LinkedIn some days ago, and the HR survey shows that a company loses between 20 to 25,000 pounds when an employee leaves the business. They are talking about employee turnover. And one thing I see that they want to get right during the interview process is that they want to be sure the candidate is the perfect fit for the job. And because if you are not a perfect fit, you'll be asked to leave. And they also want to be sure that you also like the job, because if you don't like the job, you eventually have to leave. And interview process, recruiting process is very, very expensive. It's costing business the more. So if we bear in mind that a company will lose that much, that is the reason we need to also be at our A game while, going for interviews. Let's be prepared in all ways. Let's be prepared. Let's pick tips and things like that so that we are the perfect fit for the job. So thank you very much for joining in. Is there any other general question you'd like to ask? If not, we would like to call it a day. Is there any other question? Okay, so in the absence of any other question, I want to say a big thank you to everybody who has taken time out to make this program a success. Attendees, facilitator, and also people that presented. Thank you so much. We know time is very, very expensive here in the UK. We really appreciate it. We're not taking it for granted. And we also hope and believe that everybody here will take whatever has been able to take something back home, and we can put it on board in terms of maybe integrating into the UK, settling in at work, growing at our workplace, and also for those of us that are still looking for a job or planning to change our current jobs, how to prepare for this job. And I wish, on behalf of the team, the Living Wisdom Learning and Development team, I wish everybody success in everything as we go on this journey. And I wish all of us happy Easter. So to round it up, can somebody please any word from the senior pastor?
Thank you. God bless you, Mr. Shion. God bless you. We really appreciate everybody that has joined. And please, I want to implore everybody that make sure that you utilize, all this knowledge that we are tapping, all this training that we are tapping, is very, very important. It will help us. It helps me that I'm here. When I started, around 2016, it was 2016, that I began to integrate this kind of a thing. Even, please make sure that you integrate them.
2024, 2025, 10 years.
Boost your income. It help you in all areas. Please don't take it for granted. All the teachings you've had, all the ideas that you have, make sure that you make use of it. And please don't forget that we're going to be doing this quarterly, at least quarterly. The Bible says faith coming by hearing, and through the hearing of the word of God. Another person's already said. So by the grace of God, we are bringing another lawyer. She is a solicitor, bread butter trained in UK. So he has fame everywhere. It's very good business, and it's into housing, property pillars and everything. So you will enjoy her also. It's very versatile, very good. We have lots of them like that. So we are not going to relent. We are not going to relax. The Bible says, until the Bible says, he that endure to the end shall be saved. So every quarter, we're going to be loading ourselves. Everything is not for than a damn prayer. You need to really empower yourself, because that's why we spend most of our hours outside. Please make sure you make use of this thing that you have been taught. Ask for more questions. You want to speak to the first speaker? Call Mr. Shion. Mr. Shion will give his number, or you can call me. You can, ask for the number of the person that spoke first. That's Akatan Damilola. The first accountant additional too. That's the one that we first of all add in the first quarter. So please, they are free. You can call them. They are very good. They are very okay. They are very approachable. Ask them one or two questions. How did they success? How did they succeed? If you want to be successful in life, you go and meet a successful man and ask him, how are you successful? Be spiritual. Ask him question. How do you manage? How do you make it? How do you get to this area? You want to be successful? Go and meet, in terms of career. Ask somebody, what are the things that you do it? Let me do likewise. It may not be easy, but what are the techniques? Very, very important. So anybody that wants to be successful in life, you have to celebrate somebody that is already successful. And don't pull them down. Don't say, hey, can I share me on the shit? No. Hey, what did they do that I can't do? Hey, don't worry. You ask them. The Bible says one thing, it said, buy the truth and sell it not. So we are buying the truth. We buy the wisdom. We buy the knowledge. God will bless us all in Jesus' name. Thank you, everybody. It is very with you. Thank you for your time and thank you for your patience. It is very, very, helpful. And all our, listener, all our teachers, all our, presenter, all our coordinator. Thank you, Brashim. Thank you for your time. Thank you for putting this together. It's him that is doing all the handbids, him that is running around organizing it. I'm just here to come and attend. My own is just to attend. My own is just to put everything out, and that's it. I don't get involved in all those things. God bless you. Thank you. And it was the one that brought the idea. That's why I keep saying it was Brother Hashem that brought the idea. If it was one, I'm telling you, when he shared the idea, I said yes, it's in line with Living Wisdom World Ministry vision. Keep doing it, and that's it. So you bring idea. It's not that Pastor BC do it. It's not a matter of Pastor BC ministry or church. It is our church. It is the church of Christ. It is not my church. I am not the owner of you. I am not the owner of any church. So you bring idea and I spiritometer it. I put it on the spirit. Is it okay? Then I give you support to carry it out. And that is how the body of Christ should grow. God bless you all. Thank you, everybody. And thank you. And see you next quarter again. Bye.
All right, thank you.
Our internal rock of ages, once again, we thank you because you are God. As we have, come to an end at this time, grace to make use of this, grace to, to really make impact in our generation. Grant us in the name of Jesus the power and the opportunity to move, to know. Grant us, Lord, in the name of Jesus. I pray as many people in our midst that have had this teaching and this impartation, God Almighty will grant you opportunity to make use of them in the name of Jesus. I pray we will live to see the testimony of this word that we are hearing in our lives, in our family, in our career, in our destiny, in the name of Jesus. It is well with us and it is settled. Thank you, Holy Spirit. Thank you, precious Father. In Jesus' precious mighty name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Happy Easter to everybody.
And happy Easter. Bye.
Bye.